Hi, everyone. It's Flexi P here with Spencer Drate. Got a fantastic VIP guest here, Brian Ekus. And let me tell you, what a great interview we're about to have. Take it away, Spencer.
Well, I'm very happy to have this guest today who co-founded Making Vinyl event with Larry Jaffe. That is the event that's all vinyl, if everybody wants to know about something. And also, I'm wearing my Making Vinyl t-shirt, and I have my Making Vinyl box, which I have in the house. Uh, Judith Salovitz, my partner, and I judge the Packaging Awards event, and it's a big honor every year. And just to tell you, the Packaging Awards is entries are going on right now. I believe the final date is December 20th. And anybody interested in entering anything in vinyl packaging, album, 45, whatever, go on to makeyvinyl.com to the Packaging Awards, and you'll get how to enter. I want to start with that. One more thing I want to mention. There was a big article in Billboard October 23rd, a one-page article on vinyl in the Grammy issue, and it was very important because it focused the fact that the vinyl sales have a very big influence on famous artists such as Paul McCartney and Lady Gaga's their albums in 2020, and because of the vinyl sales added to the record sales, it catapulted them into the #1 spot on the Billboard charts. So now we're seeing the influence heavy, and it just keeps going on. But I had to mention that article because that's a good intro for how important vinyl is in the world today and the resurgence going on. And now I'll introduce you to Brian Ekus, co-founder of the Making Vinyl event. Hi, Brian.
Hey guys, hey, thanks for having me. Nice to meet you, Plastic EP. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm pleased to meet you. Let me tell you, the minute you've come on with a big smile, you're making everyone's day. And I want to know more about vinyl because vinyl now has made such a revival comeback. I've got a younger son. He's going out and paying $50 Australian for every album he's buying. In my day, it used to be $7. So, I mean, something must be going right.
Right. Exactly. Well, what we have definitely seen is, we'll say, an explosion in the popularity of vinyl. Back in, we'll say, the late 1990s, everybody thought that was it for the vinyl records, and everything was moving very much towards digital at that point. And, that was one of the things that I was going into, because I was working with a group that organized a big trade fair in regards to physical media. And we were moving from vinyl, then we moved into cassettes. Of course, that was the future format at that time. And then it just kept on evolving in more of a digital sense into CD and different aspects of that. And it's great to see it come back. And a lot of that reason, I think, is because people have discovered that it's a different experience than what you would traditionally be used to now when you listen to music.
Right. And also, what's really interesting, this event, I want to mention to people, has had some incredible keynote speakers like Jack White from Third Man and Michael Kurtz, founder of Record Store Days, and Little Steven Van Zandt, Little Steven Underground, and many more. And these are like real heavy vinyl people in the music world. Let's talk about how from the very beginning, how you conceived the event and why.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Again, I think it goes back to my background in working in physical media. And Larry and I have been friends for over 20 years. And by me and him working in the same industry, Larry kind of proposed the idea of thinking about maybe doing something in this space. But at that time, it didn't look likely that it would be possible. It was just too early. And there was another gentleman also very dear and close to me named Dave Hill from the UK, also thought that, nobody's covering this space. What about, going in that direction? And it took time. And I was working in a group well, still am. It's called Colonial Purchasing, where we buy raw materials for the industry. And one of the persons that's involved in that and sits on our board, his name is Steve Sheldon. He was the founder of Rainbow Records in Los Angeles. And I would, at that point, would say to him, what do you think about putting something together like this? And he said, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's going to work. I don't know how many people, excuse me, that would be interested in attending. And as things got more and more interesting in vinyl, that's when, I talked again with Steve, and he goes, yeah, maybe it's the right time to do something like that, but you got to do it right.
Yeah.
And it was just after the time of when Jack White opened up his pressing plant in Detroit. And so we thought of different places of where we might be able to locate the event. And I don't remember exactly who suggested that we should go to Detroit, which coincidentally I'm from. And we connected with the folks at Third Man Pressing and said, hey, if we were going to bring an event here, would you guys be supportive of that? And they were like, hell yeah, we would love it. Absolutely love it. So, and we didn't even know if Jack would be getting behind it personally. We just knew that he was opening up his home to allow all of these people to come in. And the things just started to blow up, and it got bigger and bigger. And the next thing that we knew, Jack wanted to speak at the event, and he was just there hanging out with everybody. It was just really great. So we did the first one in 2017. Since then, we've done 2 in Detroit. We did 1 in Berlin. We did 1 in Los Angeles. And then the idea in 2020 was to make it even bigger. But then, our friend, Mr. COVID, came into play, and we have had now to do things virtually. But even with what's going on in the world right now, we're really trying hard to bring back an in-person event in 2022.
Yeah,
I gotta say, with the
package
records, because it went dead, and then all of a sudden we got this revival. I've done so much reading, Spencer and Brian, right? Everyone talks about Tower Records. Everyone talks how great it was when they went in there and bought cassettes. They bought their records. It was like part of their family. And like, how can I say, it was instilled in the culture that's gone through all that time at Tower Records, wherever they were, right? In Los Angeles or New York, wherever. And this Tower Records lives on forever, the name. And that associates itself also with vinyl. Because you went in there and bought your first Beatles album if you were in the 70s or whatever. So this is why vinyl doesn't die, because people want to physically hold it, touch it. They want to see designs like you're doing, Spencer. So what I'm saying is, it's really great. The vinyl, it's your life, guys, isn't it?
It is.
Well, it really has become my life, that's for sure.
But, Judith and I started our life in vinyl. I mean, the major part of our life. And by the way, we were nominated for the National Design Award. That's huge, by Smithsonian Institute and Cooper Hewitt. I mean, most of our portfolio to get that award was vinyl design, and I'll just tell you, that's part of our life. I'm, as a designer, and Judith too, are very happy that vinyl is back so we could do that. The thing about what's interesting, and Brian knows this, is that the packaging is intricate. And very incredible, intricate and special paper packaging. This is not like, it's almost throwback to the 70s when they did die-cut albums and those specialty things. That's what's going on right now. It's like there's money out there to do these packages. They're elaborate, very elaborate. And so far, as Brian knows, the entries are increasing every year, and which is great. We had an incredible year last year, Brian, with amazing amounts of packaging that was off the wall. And this is the first year, actually, Judith and I are entering a new package that we did in a category. But it's about, also, I want to bring up that the COVID era has brought an interesting thing to making vinyl. The judges now, because of, it's not a physical thing, it's not a USA thing, and generally, we can pick judges overseas. Larry picks judges overseas, and it's done, these things judged on a website. So, but judges can come from other countries, which opens up this whole thing. Whereas before, the judges were in the United States. So the COVID thing has brought in more of a expansive thing in the judging area. And it's and Brian could tell you it's a different type of a way it's being done now. With the judging.
Yeah, before you're right, Spencer. Everything was done more in person, and then of course with the complications of COVID, we had to find new ways to do it. Like everybody else is having to find new ways to do things in general. So yeah, a lot of the event is done virtually. So that doesn't mean that that's necessarily a bad thing now. It means that people are actually taking the time, taking some amazing photos of the product, giving backstories, putting videos associated to what the actual package is, what it means, what it represents.
Yeah.
And then that's submitted. And one thing that I'd like to point out too is that I'm a physical media guy, as I mentioned before, but you can enter in cassettes. We do have a category for that. We also have a CD category. So if you haven't made a vinyl yet, but you think you've made some amazing design for some other form of packaging, I'm sure we have a category for that. So yeah, check that out at makingvinyl.com. As Spencer mentioned, all of the rules and instructions are there. Just 1 week left to enter in the submissions, and yeah, we're growing with it every year. And the judges, we have 30 international judges this year from all over the world.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we're hoping, and this year, that once we actually get down to the finalists, we want those sent in someplace so somebody can actually review them.
Right.
And we're hoping that things continue to go okay. We never know. I'm supposed to go visit my son who lives in Switzerland next week, and it's like questionable if we'll even be able to go into a restaurant. But nonetheless, we want to try to do something so that we can get people back together again.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's a great event, and it seems like Making Vinyl gets a lot of people all over the world, right? On a focus.
We do, yeah, we do. First event, as I said, we weren't sure how many people were going to turn up, and now the last one we did, we had over close to 500 people in Los Angeles, and I can only see that getting bigger in the future.
The one thing I wanted to bring up that's very important: the entry fee for packaging is very reasonable. I want to tell people that it's not like a lot of these other venues, design venues, have a lot of money you have to enter. I mean, I just saw one the other day. It's $250 to put one piece in. This is not in that area at all. You should check that out for the entry fee. It's very, very, very reasonable to enter in the different ways. So I just want to bring that up.
Yeah.
I also want to say the T-shirt and the packaging and what you got there. Can you show me that box one more time? I think that's fantastic. Spencer, if you can show me the box again.
Oh, this was sent to me through Brian and Larry. This is a little vinyl. It came with what candies or something inside, I believe. But now I put ginger and all kinds of nice things in here. I keep it on my table. That's basically the logo. You can almost see the total logo of Making Vinyl. I'll just tell you, the packaging is so amazing. I'm looking forward to this year because I'm sure there's going to be outrageous stuff coming in, right?
And I also want to say now, what you got to understand is the market out there on the internet. I don't know if you spend time and see these people that have record stores and they're buying up huge collections of records, and they spend an hour going through what's in their collection that they purchased. So you've got all these collectors out there and people that want to get into vinyl now, right into vinyl. And it's happening 24/7. There's one guy who's got a fantastic podcast. He bought a big collection, right, from an actual artist, right? And he was going through every single record that he bought. And I mean, this is where the fascination of the vinyl and the art that it really is. Like, you got to imagine back in the 50s what it was like with vinyl. Back in the 60s, as we know, what it was like in vinyl. Same with the 70s. It's only until, let's say, the internet started with the MP3s, right, that you could have the convenience of carrying around. But most people at home, they're going to listen to their stereo because they can't walk around with their stereo in the street. So, I mean, we got to talk reality, right? That's why everyone's got their record collections at home or in their office. But when they're mobile, they're not listening to their records because they got their MP3s. But I remember, and I've got to say, it's very important. being young, right, 8, 9 years old, it was a big deal to go and buy your first 45 record because that brought you into music. When you had that record and you went home and played it. Then when you were lucky enough to buy your first album, these are moments in your life that you always remember. And that's why I said the physical always matters.
Yeah, and I want to say something. I've been selected on a very big honor on the Grammy committee for album packaging voting a number of times. And when I talk to the art directors that are judges in different record companies, they're all saying vinyl is on the A list for that company. And that's very interesting. When I heard that, I was saying, oh my God, this is really becoming a whole thing. When they say the A list, that means they really care about vinyl and producing it. And so that's a big thing. It's only increased. And so it's not a fad. I think in the beginning, Brian, a lot of people probably thought it was a fad, right? But it's not. It's increasing and it's becoming a bigger thing, It's
definitely becoming a bigger thing all of the time. And we see that also because you also have heard a lot of articles that, the vinyl craze is really expanded and we can't keep up with manufacturing the number of vinyls that are required. And that's true. But we've also, though, have grown quite a bit just in the last 4 to 5 years because you got to remember that when the vinyl craze back in the 90s ended, a lot of these factories closed down.
Right.
A lot of the machines were disposed of. The companies that were making the machines decided, there was no reason to make them anymore.
Right.
So they either went out of business or the people that knew how to make them retired.
Right.
So then when we were starting this business back up again, there was people scouring the world trying to find where there may be some remaining record presses. And I can tell you a real quick funny story. I know of a company that's very big. They were doing it, but then they switched into different products and they put their machine into a local museum just to kind of commemorate what they used to do in the past. And the funny part of the story is that not too long ago, they went back to the museum to ask if they can get the machine back, and it's now back in production again.
Oh, great.
And there are now companies that are making new machines. There's more than 3 or 4 now. And happy to see, too, that I see that there's 2 to 3 pressing plants now back in Australia. So
wow.
That's right, Brian. I'm glad you mentioned that because I've got to tell you something. When it died down, these people got rid of their machines.
Yep.
But a lot of collectors were smart and they picked up the machines for next to nothing. And then it started to boom again, and they've gone into instant business because they've got the machines. That's true.
Yeah. So, and it's significant. One of the people that I was reading about in Australia, actually, he sold his house and he's now bought all of the equipment to start something in Brisbane. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Brisbane.
Yeah, it's Brisbane.
Brisbane. I knew there was a special way that you guys pronounced it, but machine has been installed or going to be installed soon, and that is going to serve that local community there.
Wow.
So it's great to see. And as far as it's taking a long time for us to meet demand. Demand will eventually, we'll say, get to a point where it flattens out, and then we'll continue to add more and more machines and capacity in the market. So right now, when you hear the horror stories, people are saying that it's taking a year to get their vinyl records made. That'll go back down to something a much more manageable, about maybe 6 to 8 weeks. I don't expect that to happen, we'll say, in the first half of 2022. But by 2023, it's more likely that we'll get there, and then we won't have that issue anymore.
Yeah, we just, Judith and I just finished a beautiful package that we entered. It was printed in Germany. The record label was called Riot Records in Australia. And the print, they did it in 2 months, I think. And that's pretty good time, to 2 months to get the manufacturing done. So we were pretty lucky on that,
Since we talk about vinyl, I've got to tell you a story, right? Here in Australia, when you're growing up in the 60s, we couldn't understand when they put out this vinyl with 20 hits on it, because the normal amount is 12 or 14 songs in the vinyl. So we couldn't figure out how do you fit 20 songs into a normal 33 and a third playing record. And then it hit me. What they did is they got the master tapes, made them shorter, got rid of the endings or whatever, and then sped them up. So that's how they fit all these hits
That's
in this
funny.
60s record. Like, it came to me finally when I was an adult.
You know, it's interesting if you go into the history of vinyl. If you go back to the 50s, they did 45 records with not just one song on one side and one on the other. They would do like maybe 2 songs on one side and maybe even 2 or 3 on the other.
Yeah, it's normally called an EP, an extended play.
Yeah.
And also know that you can get 3 on each side, but it's played at 33 and a third.
Well, this is like 45 record I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's right. But it can play at 33 and a third with 3 songs on one side and 3 songs on the other.
Exactly.
Yeah, the 7-inch size.
Yeah, the 7-inch.
That's
I like
it.
that.
7-inch, that's it.
And you know what? That has not come back. That someone should do that, right, Brian? I mean, I've never seen that done.
Yeah, no, they haven't done it in a while. But what's interesting is most recently is that Taylor Swift came out with her new album. I think it was Taylor Swift. Yeah. And a lot of people were complaining because when they were playing it, they thought she sounded like a dude because she recorded everything at a different speed.
Oh, wow.
But that wasn't very clear. So then once people figured out, oh, I have it at the wrong speed, then everybody was quite happy again.
Wow.
I got to say, most of those 7-inch with more than 2 songs on either side or 2 songs on either side, they're actually manufactured for jukeboxes. So that's what that's about. To me, Australia was very big on the extended plays.
Here's our book that Judith and I authored, 545. A great book to get. And we have writings in there in different areas of the 45, forward by Lenny Kay of the Patti Smith Group. But we have writings in there. It's interesting. You put writings in for different areas of the 45. And so you get a really big info on 45 besides the 45 sleeves, which are, pretty cool. I mean,
that's amazing. And can you tell them where they can buy the book, Spencer?
Amazon. You can go on Amazon and get it very reasonable right now. It's been out since 2010. So you can get a reasonable. I usually wouldn't put this out there, but I'm not going to mention anything specific. Judith and I are now have a book proposal, which relates to vinyl specifically, at about 14 publishers. I already have about 3 publishers calling me on it. So I think, and I want Brian to write a little piece, and it'll be incredible. But it's going to be a book that's never been done on vinyl. And it focuses, I can't tell the content because I give the whole thing away, but it's a very important book on vinyl. And a couple of publishers already are talking to us. So it's a very good sign. I hope it goes through. We hope this book goes through. I can talk to you more about it when it comes, get to a certain area.
Well, that's going to be great. Now, Brian, before we go, I want you to give everybody the links of how they can find about the vinyl, when you got your next event happening or what the future is going to be. I want you now to tell everybody.
Yeah, probably the best way to stay in touch with us is to either follow us on social media, which is Making Vinyl on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and then of course makingvinyl.com. That's where we always update where our events are, and then you can also subscribe. We have a newsletter that we send out informing everybody about when things are going to be happening and taking place. And starting next year, we're actually going to be doing more frequent communications in regards to what's happening in the industry. So you can sign up for that also right now and get on our mailing list, and we'll keep you up to date on what's happening in Brisbane, and we'll help you figure out what's going on in the different parts of the world too.
That's fantastic. Now, Spencer, before we go, I want you to give out the links now to your podcast and also what else is happening now with what you're doing.
Well, we had Brian on our Indie Cafe 2 show. I'm involved with our show here, Interviews Down Under and Indie Cafe show. By the way, those sites are on Facebook with the interviews. We had Brian on first, and now we have him on this show because we want to get him down under and in the world. And of course, the interviews are going to be on YouTube, which is permanent. That's another good thing. So the world can see these interviews anytime. And I'm very excited about being with you, Plastic, because you're bringing a whole tradition down to this area. And a lot of people are coming on because they've never been interviewed in Australia, which is a big thing, right? No.
Yeah, but I got to say, Spencer, doing the show with you is what makes it. For me, it's a buzz.
Thank you. No,
Just
thank
doing
you.
the shows with you.
That's
And
very
tell
nice
them
of you.
now, as I said, tell them about your Facebook pages because I go and I see it and I'm really interested myself.
Well, Facebook, I have my own personal page. Judith Salovitz, my partner, has her page. We have a site on Facebook, Spencer Drate / Judith Salovitz, which a lot of our work is on also. And I mentioned the two sites, Indie Cafe 2 and Interviews Down Under. And I also have other ones. I have Vinyl Talk, a site for vinyl people, and then I have a Film Talk site about film. So I've got different things going on in different areas, and I think it's very important.
Exactly. Now, I just want to say to you, Brian, do me a favor. If you ever come to Melbourne, Australia, look me up. We'll meet up for sure. And Spencer, I just want to say another great show. Keep watching Interviews Down Under because Plastic EP and Spencer Drate have got so many people lined up to come on in this show. It's going to be amazing 2022. You agree?
Oh, I do. I'm so happy we got hooked up. And Brian, thank you for being on today because I think your event is so important, and the world, other parts of the world should see what's going on that haven't yet, know about it.
Hey,
Totally agree. All right, I just
appreciate
want to
it.
say, if I come to the States, Brian, and you got your event happening, I'll make sure I come down. Don't worry. So from
Yeah.
Plastic EP and Spencer Drake and Brian Ekus, we want to say, see you all. Have a great evening, and let's have a great 2021. It's coming up to Christmas, so we wish everyone a Merry Christmas. And let's have a great New Year and all the best now for 2021. Let's move forward and let's go out there and keep buying vinyl. See everybody. Great.
Vinyl